think, fourth or fifth episode. Um. So yeah, be sure to watch another episode. Like previous episodes. So yeah, this is me debunking. Arcane was always centrist.
She has absolutely no reason to trust Caitlyn as much as she does in such a short period of time. And things really stop making sense in episode 7 when she pushes Echo away from Caitlyn far too harshly, and when she runs to Caitlyn without any concern for Echo, who just got shot. Already, this sowed the seeds of Vi's relationships in Zon, her sense of community among the oppressed, being sidelined in favor of Kate Vi. And while I have heard some defenses here saying that Vi focuses more on people rather than systems or categories, which is why she's able to trust and fall for Caitlyn so fast despite her being a rich enforcer, that
But Caitlyn isn't like evil. That's just okay. No, let's just wait for her argument.
fails to hold up when you consider all the quips Vi throws Caitlyn's way about enforcers being asshole criminals or topsiders always screwing over Zonites.
So she just doesn't know what to believe anymore. All right.
And in the end, this both sidesism is still centrist, so my overall point stands, even if you find Vi's behavior realistic or in character.
Yeah, sure. Because if you're a left wing, you need to hate the cops. This is kind of like saying that I don't know that if you're right wing, you need to hate the cops because they won't let you kill all minorities. Okay, I know I'm not. I know I'm wrong. I just wanted to throw in that joke. Um,
Now, at the time, it was easy to brush all of this aside in favor of appreciating the cute little lesbian romance we had, and I was fully prepared to do just that.
don't you notice? Lesbian romance. Lesbian romance. Okay, I know that technically this could be considered centrist because, but still, liberalism is culturally left, economically right, right? So it's still culturally left. Even that, if you're going to call it liberal, which is it's not.
If the show delivered on them in season 2. But since the show didn't do that shit in any kind of way, I'm now going back to the criticisms I had of Kate Vi in season 1. Because listen, I don't care how cute it is, there's absolutely no healthy reason why Vi should have fallen in love with Caitlyn. The only thing that makes sense
Like that, Caitlyn is a good human. She's a good woman. She's a she's a good think. Think about that.
given that otherwise Vi should not be comfortable around Caitlyn at all, is that Vi is latching on to the first person to show her kindness in 7 years, and that is not healthy in any way.
Why? No, no, no. I'm not some psychologist to like criticize that. But I also don't think that she is a psychologist, and as it isn't implied that she um is a psychologist, I'm just going to assume that she. Okay, I shouldn't be that harsh on her. Yeah, yeah, yet still, I don't think that's really that bad.
But considering that season 2 of the show seems to enjoy the dynamic between Caitlyn and Vi being unhealthy, not toxic though, because God forbid Vi fights back, I have to wonder if this was done on purpose. Though that would require the writing team to actually give a shit about Vi's mental state, so I don't think it was done on purpose. No, the actual reason that Vi does not show any discomfort around Caitlyn outside of a couple lines of lip service is that if Vi showed any enforcer trauma,
So she just kind of shrugs off everything that every single drama between Vi and Caitlyn as just some um, fan service, lip service. That's so stupid. Like so didn't you like watch season one and what she did in like episode 8 of season one? I can talk about episode 8. I don't know why, but this kind of debunks really much of what she says. Um. So yeah. or like no nothing. Oh,
And if any of that was projected onto Caitlyn, then that would conflict with the show's centrist narrative that enforcers as a systematic whole aren't a problem. It's just bad apples like Marcus who are the problem, and good cops like Caitlyn can change the system.
and exists. This is what I'm going to like. Okay, so people say, so look, there is this show, right? In this show, they say that all Jews are actually that not all Jews are actually bad. Okay, I'm not like some drag watching guy which drag made like a video where he says that cops are the most oppressed minority, which is honestly so funny because everybody hates them. But you know what I mean. Just saying that everyone in this group is bad is so much right wing. Like this is anti-immigration, racist bullshit. Um, this kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, we can kind of call it leftist that they did it.
Reformist bullshit. That is why, even in season 1, Kate Vi is propaganda. Because, see, if Vi, someone with bad experiences with enforcers, can be in love with an enforcer, that shows that enforcers aren't bad people.
She still doesn't like um identifies with enforcers. Um, it only takes many things for her not still to not identify as enforcer, but just become one. In these specific circumstances. Um, so yeah,
Season 2 takes all the problems of Season 1 Kate Vi, doesn't address them, makes them worse, and then actively makes new problems for the relationship. In other words, Season 2 Kate Vi is hot fucking garbage, because the show is centrist and the writers have a clear fetish for oppressor ex oppressed. That sounds like a joke, but I'm afraid I'm being serious. There is something seriously wrong with these people. Oh, and also I'm convinced they hate butch lesbians. The number one problem for Kate Vi as a ship in season 2 is that the power imbalance between Caitlyn and Vi is never addressed. And I mean never. I can't even tell how much the writers realized the power imbalance was there. If Caitlyn hadn't let Vi live at her home after season 1, where would Vi have lived? If the show gave a shit about their relationship, with Echo and the Firelights, but since the show does not care about them, we can safely assume Vi would have been homeless. Does the show even realize this? I don't think so, because it never brings it up. When Caitlyn leaves Vi in episode 3, she leaves Vi homeless with only the clothes on her back, clothes that would
maybe because actually, yeah, she's right.
likely get her jumped walking around Zon. That's why she had to dye her hair and wear heavy makeup. But again,
How do you know that? So yeah, now I'm going to have to talk about the symbolism behind the pit fighter Vi. So why she is so much covered in black? It could be explained from your, but it's perspective. But it's also like she covers her tattoos on her back, which are of course a symbol of her wanting to come back to Zone and to Jinx or Powder. And yeah, she also paints entirely herself in black because this is kind of her emo phase where she just abandons the whole world. This is her depressed phase where she abandons all hope on changing her loved ones with Caitlyn and with she now you know how is it in English? With her acknowledging that Caitlyn is now a brutal dictator and um, Powder is gone, the only Jinx remains, and that everyone else is dead. So yeah, that's basically it. Again, like people. People who criticize season two mostly don't get the symbolism. Like that symbolism is sometimes more important for the show than something being realistic. But still, it could be in lore explained by her reason. I just simply wanted to say that this is mainly why they did this. Not to. It wasn't meant to be rationalized in our sense with no symbolism.
The show does not present us with this information at all. We have to deduce this ourselves. The power difference in Kate Vi makes me even more uncomfortable when thinking about Vi becoming an enforcer. While I don't think it would be Vi's character to feel pressured in this way, it's still very much in the realm of possibility that Vi felt like she had to say yes to Caitlyn in the end so that she wouldn't be fucking kicked out onto the streets.
Why are you doing this? Like, obviously, no. She joins the enforcers for all the reasons I gave before. Um, so yeah.
Again, I don't think the show ever considered the implications of any of this, but these are not very large stretches of the imagination that I'm making here. Literally, Caitlyn could have thrown Vi back into Stillwater at any time throughout Act 1. That is never acknowledged or addressed.
But why would she do that? She loved Vi, so why the hell would she like would consider that?
By the end of the show, Caitlyn and Vi have the exact same power difference as they started with, and I find that to be very uncomfortable and disturbing. And the reason they still have this power difference is because the show was never prepared to address it.
What does she mean? Like by the next season, with Noxus, they will probably be like legally married. Fuck. And so they there wouldn't be any power difference. And by this point, there probably isn't a de facto a power difference. There's probably just de jure power difference because still, enforcers would and Piltovans would and Zononites would probably just refuse to arrest her. And also, it wasn't like she had any trial before, so she would need to go to trial, which would probably fail because she is loved. And also, why would Caitlyn do that? Because this is just so honestly stupid. Like even the whole thing that I'm discussing, even this, is just stupid because Caitlyn would never do that.
After all, centrists don't mind social hierarchy. For God's sake, Vi's internalized belief that she's less than topsiders is never actually dealt with, and in fact, her final line of the show compares herself to dirt underneath her oppressor's nails.
You don't understand this scene. I don't know how to debunk it. I don't know how to put it into words. So yeah, you just have to do it yourself. But like, trust me, it's not that. Just trust me. It's my reaction to this comment.
I need these writers blacklisted, or at least fired, or I will at least not watch anything that they write again.
It again. You're watching the show with the belief that this is supposed to be some political, that everything in this show is supposed to be political commentary or some sort of political shit. No, it wasn't about the politics.
Please go find something else to do with your life because writing is not it. I want to talk about some individual moments in season 2 that really showcase how centrism poisoned this ship from the inside out.
Let's see.
First is the scene in episode 1 where Caitlyn offers Vi the badge. This scene is played entirely as an interpersonal conflict, not the political request of the oppressor to the oppressed to
Because why would it be? Why?
Join her oppressors in their
Join her oppressor. You know what? I always love that she says that the show portrays only Marcus as this bad enforcer, and then she also says that it shows that Zonanites are getting oppressed by the enforcers. So yeah, that's kind of funny. Like if you acknowledge that this isn't um, what the show is doing, then I don't know what you did.
oppression. Say that 3 times fast. But seriously, I just think again of Nikki's thread. The way Vi is written in this scene, the enforcers are just the scumbags that killed her parents, not the oppressive system that regularly enacts violence onto her people. Hell, they're not even the fucking scumbags that frankly tortured her in prison. We don't even get that.
Because we don't know did this happen.
Instead, we get Caitlyn's horribly insensitive
Actually, do we? I don't actually know that so.
request, as well as her horribly insensitive comment about knowing how it feels to have her parents killed the way Vi's were, and this comment is never called out.
This comment is never called out because it's Zonite, literally a sister of Jinx that killed her mother that joined the forces. Yeah, it's kind of distasteful. I know what you mean by that, but I can see the comparison. I know that maybe I am just digging too deep into the fans of what Caitlyn said, and that this is probably just Caitlyn not understanding the situation. But you know what I mean. I can see where she's coming from. Still, it was bad for her to say that.
That's a theme for season 2 Kate Vi. Caitlyn never getting called out for her shit, since similar to what I said when talking about her character individually, the show can't afford to call her out since that would call attention to the politics they're trying to avoid commenting on. The
Did so.
next scene is the scene that turned me off of Kate Vi for good, and that is the scene where Caitlyn hits Vi. This scene is disgusting, and my head is spinning trying to organize all my thoughts to talk about why. I mean, first off, it's literally domestic violence. That is made even worse considering in the real world, cops have higher incidence rates of domestic violence. And somehow, it still gets worse because Caitlyn uses a cop tactic, butting Vi with a rifle, to strike her. She strikes the person with enforcer trauma, or the person who should have it anyway, using an enforcer tactic.
I think that you're digging too deep into this. Like, could you honestly say that someone would just see that in plot point, or they just simply wanted Caitlyn to hit her that way, not even thinking about it? Like, be honest, you even wouldn't think about it, right? I sure wouldn't. So, domestic violence. I love how when Piltover does it to Zononite, it's bad and all. But when Zononite does it to Zononite, then it's never brought up again, I guess. I mean, she doesn't bring it up. Jinx doesn't really bring it up. Okay, maybe in season one. Um, Actually, in season one, not really. But yeah, you know what I mean. Mm, so yeah, maybe she's right. This is kind of left wing that you do criticize when something is like interracial, interclass, but you don't criticize something if it's in-racial and in-class. This is very left wing, I can tell you that. But still, the show doesn't do that because it treats these situations equally. So.
And if you guys somehow thought it couldn't get worse, remember that Caitlyn chose to do this. This was not an instinctual action. Caitlyn waited for seconds and she decided to hit Vi.
Yeah, I think you're digging way too much into this scene. Um,
This was a calculated action, and the show never brings it up again. I personally don't see that moment in the sex scene as bringing it up, just telling you now. So, anyway, yeah, the show never addresses this disgusting action again. That is because, again, about half the stuff I brought up here, these writers would not even think
like a whole fucking pit fighter scene. Just the whole arc of why between the second time skip. She totally forgot about it. That this was about this punch. This is why she turned emo mode. So you're wrong, yeah. Sorry.
about. Not Vi's enforcer trauma, not real world cop DV, not Caitlyn using an enforcer tactic. If the show did think about any of these things, especially the parallel to real world cop DV, the scene would have had political commentary, but it does not. This is just interpersonal violence bathed in the aesthetic of police violence. The other reason why I believe the show went this direction and never brought it up again is because, sadly, these writers very clearly have an issue with butch phobia. Caitlyn, a feminine lesbian, hitting Vi, a masculine lesbian, is not as big a deal to them as it should be. And I know this because after this batch of episodes premiered, people on Twitter tried to downplay the hit too, saying that somehow a rifle hit to the abdomen wouldn't hurt. There
People tried because people are stupid. I don't think that what people say is what writers intended. You know what I mean, right? People said it because they were fanatic Kate by followers. When episode 8, I think that it would be the entire. Okay, so when episode 8 was in theaters, I don't know how that was, or like, the test audience. When the sex scene came about, you couldn't even hear the music because people were just so fucking losing their minds. It was like probably worse than chicken jockey. Alright, no, because in chicken jockey people uh, try to kill each other, but like you know what I mean, right? People are just so fanatic about Kate Vi.
were also many others making rather disgusting jokes about butch lesbians like Vi experiencing domestic violence. And be prepared to see a
Because these were jokes. Oh my god! Like making a joke about that. Vi did the same to Powder, and she was done the same by Caitlyn. It's just a joke. Holy shit, woman! You don't need to read into this. Not everything is political.
lot more abhorrent tweets like this near the end of the video. The next time Caitlyn and Vi see each other, Caitlyn hits Vi 2 more times. I am thoroughly convinced that these people have a kink for seeing Vi get hit
She does it because she really doesn't know who it is, so she does it. So and because she was trained by Ambessa, so she kind of had that violence in her. Violence.
by the people she loves, considering Jinx does it to
So
her
easy to
later.
debunk.
I hate this scene as well, but I have very little I can say about it other than yet again, Caitlyn doesn't face any consequences for her behavior, since Vi is able to banter with her just fine despite everything Caitlyn did to her in her city. Which reminds me that Vi was never shown reacting to or dealing with the martial law in any way, so that's great. Moving on, we have the confrontation between Vi and Caitlyn in episode 8. This scene once again sucks, because Caitlyn still doesn't face any consequences for her behavior. Vi is angry with her at least, but that doesn't last very long, and the argument between them ends with Caitlyn throwing a boat, meaning she still resorts to physicality when she doesn't win an argument, Isn't that just a great thing to show us? Yeah, I'm being petty,
Jesus Christ. Bro, she's too far gone.
I didn't need to include this scene, but I think more
Jinx doesn't face any consequences outside of being imprisoned, which she actually did, on purpose. Um, Outside of being imprisoned, the only consequences she faces are self-inflicted, and actually aren't because of her crimes. She should have been arrested for her crimes, but she ignores it because Jinx is a Zalonite, and all Zalonites are good, all Piltovans are bad, because Piltovans are the bourgeoisie, and Zalonites are the proletariat. And of course, proletariat is always good because I assume that every leftist is Marxist.
people need to recognize how fucked up this scene is when we've already seen Caitlyn hit Vi and never even fucking apologize for it. The next scene that demonstrates the absolute garbage writing for Kate Vi in season 2 is the prison cell sex scene. I need everyone involved with this blacklisted from the industry yesterday, and I'm not fucking playing. This scene is fucking disgusting. Not only does it start with the liberal out of character bullshit of Vi being mad that Jinx didn't want to join the fight, but it is yet another scene that minimizes and dismisses Vi's prison trauma.
Why the Jinx didn't want to join the fight? Yeah, so her sister abandoned her, so she kind of was mad that Jinx was depressed and she didn't do anything about it, just gave her time to escape. And also, I know this is going to be thrown right now, so no, she didn't know what the hell was Jinx going to do, and she could well assume that she just would go away, like like he does at the end of the season. So no, 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 no.
When Vi is clearly in the midst of a mental breakdown, Caitlyn flirts with her because that's hot, I guess, and then they have sex. And the only thing that Caitlyn apologizes for, since this also doubles as their reconciliation, is getting together with Maddie. Not hitting Vi, not for all the vile things she said to her.
Because that's not what the situation is about. That situation is not about. Maybe they don't even mention it because, like, still, Jinx hasn't apologized either, so please just get on with it. Uh, just, accept that not all Zononites are good people just because they are proletariat. Um, and yeah, I don't think they would really want to mention that at the moment. And also, it wasn't like the focus of the scene, so
Not for the fucking martial law, not for anything actually important, but for fucking an irrelevant side character. Once again, Caitlyn receives no consequences for her behavior, and instead she gets to be eaten out by Vi in a prison cell because these writers love to put Vi underneath Caitlyn in every circumstance. And before anyone even starts, no, being a top is not fucking degrading or whatever the hell kind of words you want to put in my mouth. I'm honestly glad that they made Vi a stone top because it feeds my asexual Vi headcanon. All I'm saying is they decided to choreograph the sex scene in such a way where Vi gets on her knees for Caitlyn while they're fucking in a jail cell. I mean,
why are you so dumb? Okay, I'm sorry, but what even is this critique? Like, ooh,
come on now. This scene spits in the face of any kind of leftist political commentary.
this is like the most ironic thing she said in this video. That gay. lesbian sex scene is, is bad for political commentary. Sure, man, sure. I'm just going to skip it
because of the
because
way it completely dismisses and undermines Vi's prison trauma. Vi literally broke open the skin on her hands from punching the wall minutes earlier, a self-harming behavior she engaged in while in prison. But this is just window dressing for the sex scene. It's not treated with any seriousness whatsoever. For fuck's sake, in the leaked storyboards for the sex scene, punch marks are in the wall. If Arcane was committed to making a political commentary on the inhumanity of prisons or anything remotely like that, this scene would not have happened. But no, this scene is just the ultimate proof that Vi's time in prison is just window dressing, just backdrop. It's the ultimate proof of what Amanda Overton, a lead writer on the show, admitted to in an interview with Gizmodo. The enforcer conflict, one of the biggest reasons why we thought this show was going to be leftist, was only invented for Kate Vi. Oh, do you think I'm joking? I wish I was. Please read this with me.
okay, that doesn't really change anything. So
For me, it was just a huge responsibility to tell an epic series long romance. We were going to make them endgame. So we had to make, for me, the most satisfying things are the journeys that are the most difficult to come by. I was like, well, we've got to make this as hard as possible. If Caitlyn's an enforcer, what if enforcers killed Vi's parents? That was something we invented in the first week of the room, so they would have the hardest possible journey to come together. Well then, that puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
well, that's really something we really thought. I really thought would be obvious for you by this point. So no, like wow, they didn't put the reinforcers for political commentary. How fucking. You know what's the best? I didn't even look for reinforcers as for some political commentary, so this isn't really quite a surprise for me. But she, of course, for the entire duration of the show, looked for this political commentary and just, for the half of the video, she just talks about enforcers and how she was paid because enforcers weren't the political commentary. Like, yeah, like there isn't like a critique of fascism in the show or a critique, you know what I mean, right? Of revolution, which is kind of centrist to be honest, but still, it's leftist because what it shows binding together. Um, like if it was centrist, it would actually pretty like the status quo that Vander had, and it didn't actually made it. It did progress. Still. Um, Look at the beginning of the show. Let's just ignore, the actual beginning scene, but just Act One of Season One in general. We have this piece. Zone is still kind of persecuted by Piltover, um, and by the end of the show, we've seen what two cities cooperating can do. We have two cities cooperating. Yes, I get it. The council is bad. I get it. I do agree with that. They should make council shed, but they didn't. I don't know why. Maybe because actually they did probably have resources. They could like make more Zononite representatives. Um, but still, it's still heavily implied that two cities will be cooperating and be just together and will be probably similar to what we saw in Echo's alternative timeline. It also criticized militarism. I don't know. Still, if she's going to tell that criticizing Victor was centrist, then she's just so much tripping, because it isn't even centrist.
That's not the only thing Miss Overton has said that is fucking disgusting either, because she also spoke about this scene, and I'll let y'all listen to that.
But for me personally, it was a moment to be like, oh, we can actually kind of reclaim this trauma for Vi. We can help her heal in a lot of ways, because which I think that was for us something that Vi's arc really did for her. Like I've mentioned that we wanted Vi to be able to ask who she was if she had no one left to protect. And that meant Vi saying, "What does Vi want?" instead of "What does Vi do for other people?" And sort of one way to do that was for me was getting to sort of process that trauma and reclaim it for herself and work through it, and now be able to move forward from it in a healthier, happy way.
These are the people writing Arcane. These are the politics of the people writing Arcane. Prison
I mean, I don't get what is so disgusting about it.
trauma can be healed by having sex in a prison cell. That's the politics of these people. I have no words. So, I guess I'll just move on to the last scene, which is actually just the ending of this show. As
Okay, so already in my head there are some arguments to debunk that. So, yeah, they don't say it's literal. Like, it's still a fiction. I don't think they would believe that in a real world this could happen. But like in Arcane, which is a fiction, again, this could happen, and this is actually pretty cool.
you might have guessed, I utterly abhor, hate, and loathe this ending. Like I said before, the power difference between Caitlyn and Vi is still there. If Caitlyn gets mad
The power difference practically doesn't exist. Why would Caitlyn get mad so bad that she would just put Vi in Stillwater? Who would want to put Vi in Stillwater after she saved the city? What? What? This is no. This is not the dumbest thing she says in this video.
one day, she can kick Vi out onto the street. We have no assurance that Caitlyn will never hit Vi again. For fuck's sake, Caitlyn never unlearned her prejudice against Zonites. And this is supposed to be Vi.
Maybe you know, seeing how Zononites literally saved your fucking life, is enough. Like even the girl that killed your mom just came to save you. Is maybe like enough to. And also, it's not like Wiesz to, nagrywam sobie wideo. Co cały czas debankuje to, że Arcane was always centrist. Że Arcane was always centrist. No, że to niby było jakieś centrystyczne.
A co, to jest Marquis Analysis?
Yy, nie, aczkolwiek ja już ci to mówiłem, że ona mówi,
Że
się-
to był żart.
she's implying.
Że to był żart. To Marquis Analysis.
Nie. A wiesz, że
No
to,
tak!
okej, ale wiesz, że to jest Arcane was always centrist, to nie jest to. I to
Nie
trwa
ma.
2 godziny, by the way. I czekaj. Ona myli lewicy z marksistami. Ona myśli, że każda lewica musi być marksistowska. Nie, ale ona.
A, ona, dobra. No myślę, że każdy okej.
Ale zresztą to nie był żart, to było autentyczne.
Nie, tam to jest...
Weź wyjdź albo zamknij. Znaczy wyjdź albo zamknij drzwi. Bo nie chcę, żeby babcia się obudziła.
Jeżeli się udziela,
Aha. Czekaj. A, już pamiętam. Ten argument jest taki głupi.
No bo wiesz, ty uznajesz zwykle zmienienie zdania jako to ci ulepi. Więc po co się
Nie uznaję.
tak uznajesz?
Kiedy ja tak...
Co, gdybyś nie uznawał tego, to wtedy byś tego nie powiedział. Że wiesz, że ja jestem zbyt uległy.
Nie, bo ty po prostu... Drzwi. Okay, so my brother came and I just... I know it kind of, if you could understand, or if you did understand, it kind of could, that we don't like each other. No, we do like each other. But yeah, where was I? Oh, right, I was debunking this completely hilarious and stupid argument.
Vi's good ending. They don't care that Vi is in a city that will never respect her, in a house with a man that is prejudiced against her.
You I think that she's just stupid because it's clearly implied that it doesn't really matter anymore that the two cities will exist peacefully.
with someone who hasn't even
So
unlearned
what
her own
she
bias.
says
They don't
here
care that
is just wrong.
Vi is completely isolated from her community. They don't care that Vi has lost her entire purpose in life, her family, which, again, that's apart from Echo, but the show found it more convenient to abandon their relationship. They don't care that Vi is completely dependent on Caitlyn. Maybe they even like it. They like that Vi is in this unhealthy dynamic with
Bai is dependent on Caitlyn for what? For life? Like they will probably become equal in the next season. So no.
horrible implications. They like that Vi is in the goddamn sunken place. And all of this is because the show wanted to stick to its centrist politics by never addressing the power difference between Kate Vi, by never addressing Vi's prison or enforcer trauma, by never giving Caitlyn any consequences for her behavior, and by cutting Vi off from Zahn because they do not care about community. Arcane has given us this utterly abysmal ending for Kate Vi and for Vi specifically as a character. Great job, everyone. Lesbian representation. Let's talk about Echo. I've already said pretty much all that needs to be said about him when it comes to season 1. He's one of the show's most leftist characters, but he was sidelined because giving him too much focus would detract from the show's centrist message.
Yo! I love her. Maybe he was sidetracked because I don't know. He didn't really need to be. It's still. It's shown as good. He's shown as probably objectively the best option for Zone. So saying that he was silent, maybe yeah, because other characters were more important in that moment. But still, he was objectively the best presented option for Zone. So I don't know what you're talking about. This is kind of not even kind of. This is just leftist. So just shut the fuck up.
That's why a lot of Echo fans, myself included, are actually somewhat glad he didn't appear too much in season 2, or else they probably would have ruined his character like they did with so many others. What's funny is that season 2 did very well try. In fact, this insidious centrist seed was planted back in season 1. What am I talking about? One word: Heimerdinger. With the Echo that
So sorry.
we had been presented with, there is very little reason for him to be so friendly with Heimerdinger. You know, the guy who is one of the key people responsible for Piltover's oppression and neglect of.
How was Heimendinger responsible for? I think that her, view of the show is entirely flawed. On this, that all Piltover is bad, all that Zone does is bad is good. It doesn't work like that. This is not what the left is at least supposed to be about. I know that this is what many leftists think are the case, but this shouldn't be really. All the right wingers think that way, which is kind of I am hypocritical right now. Okay, I it never happened. I never said that. So right. So how exactly does Heimerdinger persecute them? Did we ever even see him saying something about Zononites? But the first order of business for him is to go to Zone and just help people there. How is he prejudiced towards Zone?
On. For Echo to never even call Heimerdinger out on his shit is literal bullshit. Full stop. It's easy to dismiss this as Echo just being practical. He needed Heimerdinger's help to get back to the Firelight Space in season 1, and in season 2 he needed his help figuring out what is going on with his tree, and I'd be happy to make these dismissals. Except, again, the show is asking us to make interpretations it does not make any real indications towards.
Right.
And this interpretation still doesn't answer the question of why Echo showed Heimerdinger the Firelight's base and allowed him to live there. Again, maybe you could say that Echo wants to keep an eye on Heimerdinger so we can't give away the base's location, but yet again, we get no indication of this or even of an internal conflict for Echo. Oh, and fun fact about the first scene of Echo in season 2, where he and the Firelights are dealing with an influx of people, an influx that is said to be because of all the Chem Barons fighting upon Silco's death. Yeah, so when the first few episodes of season 2, their unfinished versions, leaked the August before the premiere, originally people were coughing when entering the Firelights base. Coughing. I wonder why that could be. Oh, I know. How about the gas weaponry currently being utilized in Zaun's streets?
How about maybe that there are so many people that the tree did not really have much energy to, to change CO2 into oxygen, and that the tree was actually poisoned by Hextech? How about that?
The fact that the show removed the evidence that the gray would be affecting more than just the targeted chem barons
I actually love her. She just assumed. No, the Piltover is always bad. It's always like they totally meant it. Like it isn't even said in the show that they did it to protect the undercity, and it isn't like they ever are shown gassing people, maybe other than Jinx. Ha- Have you actually noticed that? Because people just fucking run when they see Gray. He did it to clear the streets.
is very, very telling of its politics and how it feels about gas weaponry and police violence. This is purposefully trying to make Piltover's actions look less bad, as well as make Zahn's actions look worse. The tweet informing me about this is linked if you want to compare the scenes for yourself, but I didn't want to put leaked audio in this video. In Season 2, Echo at least gets to call Jace out on building the equivalent of a bomb underground, so if it ever goes off, it would explode Zahn and not Piltover. But like with Vi's lines in Season 1, this is just lip service since there's never any follow-up or consequences for this. And then, of course, Echo is absent for the entirety of Act 2, which, given that he is one of the most leftist characters of the show, is not an accident. In episode
You see, when there's nothing, when there is something implied, she says they just implied that they didn't say it happened. But when something is even not implied, then she just assumes that it's true. Like she already has bias towards thinking that they were disgusting centuries that were wanting Zon to suffer. So she just kind of assumes that Echoes that Echo not appearing in Act 2 is just them having centrist agenda. No! No, it's just that, him coming back at that exact moment kind of really made sense for the character and also what he else would do for the whole really Act 3, if not that. If you not convincing Jinx to not kill herself and doing all that stuff. He didn't really have anything to do. Like the Firelights already had the representative as Scar, and he didn't even need to be there because then he'll come back earlier than King's wanted. So you know what I mean, right? He didn't really have anything that important to do. No, he didn't really have anything to do. And he built over people that.
7, it is revealed that he and Heimerdinger are stuck in an alternate timeline where things seem to be going really great between Zahn and Piltover. Zahn isn't polluted, there's market stalls on the bridge, Vander and Silco have reconciled, no one's fighting to the death, and everyone's alive and happy. Except for Vi, because Arcane hates her. That sounds like a joke, but it's really not.
You know that death of Vi is basically doesn't matter really. They did it mainly to not distract Echo from Powder. Um, the real reason why everyone is happy is because there is no hex tech, so there is no Victor. So I don't actually know how. I don't know, but still, and Silco and Vander reconcile. These are two main reasons why everyone is so happy in this timeline. Um, all right, and Ambassador doesn't come really. Not because Vi is dead. They they did it for you know Echo not to be distracted by her, and for him to focus on Powder, which was way more important for the plot. I don't even know what he would do with Vi. like they didn't really have any real connections for the plot to kind of make them make the relation more complicated. So yeah, I'm going to the toilet. It's taken, so I'm going to wait.
This is the part of the video where I'm going to talk about everything wrong with the alternate timeline.
Let's do this.
Very little of this actually has to do with Echo, so I'm sorry to have put it in this section of the video, but it was the best place to put it. I'll tie everything back to him after I'm done anyway. Okay, so full stop, the alternate timeline is neoliberal bullshit that completely falls apart when you put any critical thought into it. What the timeline tries to imply is that Hextech, because at this point the show has fully abandoned the Piltover versus Zahn plotline and is only focusing on the arcane, and to a lesser extent Vander and Silco's fallout, is why things are so bad between Zahn and Piltover. Both of those things are bullshit. Let's start with the Hextech. It seems that Arcane Season 2 had forgotten why Vi and Co. even robbed Jace's apartment in the first place. Last I checked, which was literally earlier in this video, they did it because they needed the cash they could get from pawning off his items, because they have very little in the way of resources. The big thing to note here.
Okay, eat. Uh, okay, so I'm going. Yeah, bro, it's too taken for some reason. Oh fuck. So yeah, maybe it's because Heimer was there for like 10 years before Echo arrived. I actually didn't think about why this timeline is so good. Maybe it's because Heimerdinger arrived. And Heimerdinger at this point was leftist because he was Firelight and he joined Echo. So yeah, this is maybe because Heimerdinger, maybe because there is no Silco, maybe because Zone makes more to like appeal to Piltover as an equal partner or like anything like that. Oh, wow, I so much want. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it right here because you just can't make video with that amount of stress and it's already really long. So yeah, goodbye. Maybe remember to subscribe. Yeah, I don't really want. I mean, I don't really expect that from you.